Ariel the poet or whatever.
Good evening, everyone, and thank you for joining us. This is The Flow. My name is Andrea Johnson, of course you know. And we have Harry O with us tonight. He's a poet. And we have Fred who's joining us, who's a historian.
Good evening.
And for those that are tuning in, just to let you know, we're on every Saturday night from 7:30 to 8:30. And if you would like to be a part of our show, you can come down to our studio, which is in Roosevelt. And the number is 516-223-3433. Tonight we're going to be discussing Black history, since this is, the month for that, which actually Black history should be something taught and discussed every day, not just, a few weeks out of a month, but they gave us the month of February.
They
So,
gave it to us.
right, they gave it to us,
Thank
right?
you, thank you.
So we're going to talk about a couple of things in collaboration of the Black History Month, and I have something that's very interesting. It's this book called The Real Deal, and it's by Margaret Johnson, and she's talking about an African American woman who was from Harlem and who was dating an African American man, and they were dating each other for a couple of years, and she's in her late 30s, and she felt that it was time for her to settle down and get married and have kids. However, the young man who she was dating was not ready for that. So in the midst of all of this happening, she somewhat told him that it was sort of over. And she was at work one day, and he kind of walked into where she was at, and he asked her out. And her response or her reaction was like, is he crazy? I'm Simone. I'm from Harlem. How dare this white man come ask an African American woman from Harlem, out for lunch? And actually, she thought about it, and he kept coming consistently. And she ended up going to lunch with him, and one thing led to another, and she fell in love with him. But the problem is that she knew that her family wouldn't accept him because he was white. Although she loved this man was ready to marry her. This man was ready to give her the world, everything that she was waiting for, everything that she wanted. But she kind of put it to the side because, she knew that he wouldn't be accepted. And that brings us to where we are now. I mean, is a lot of this happening and going on now, or are people concerned about, race? I can't date a white man. I can't date a black woman. Are people concerned about that anymore, or are people just coming together as one, and they're saying, you know what, whatever. You're white, I'm black, I love you, you love me. Let's just do what we have to do. What's happening now?
I think that interracial dating is more prevalent now. It's more widely accepted. You see it more in the mass media. You
Mm-hmm.
look on your music, television stations, MTV, etc.
Right,
They have all of these games and dancing, and it's white with black, black with Asian. All of the races are intermingling.
right.
It's more accepted now as opposed to 40 years ago
Mm-hmm.
when many of your states had anti-miscegenation laws and anti-interracial marriage laws.
Right. It's funny because there's a little, it, this word, it says, real love is more than skin deep. Real passion isn't black or white. What do you think about that, Harry?
Well, to answer your first question, I feel that is accepted more now, but then again, it's like a double-edged
It's really
sword,
not.
because if it's a black man, like me as a black man, and me being a single man and a
Right.
single man with no kids, uh, I have a lot of women,
Ladies, we're going to give you the phone number to the studio.
and I do have a lot of Caucasian friends that I coerce with, and when the people of my own group see this, and
Right.
a lot of women, they comment on it in a negative manner, and it's not accepted.
Right.
It seems like it's accepted, but it's really not accepted.
Mm.
And we have a long way to go, and I believe that real love isn't just skin deep.
Mm-hmm.
Me, myself, I'm trying to go into the internal essence of it all,
Right.
and it gets even deeper and it gets broader. There's no boundaries for the internal essence.
Right.
Now, I mean, it's always, I mean, you have the northern attitude, you have the southern attitude. So
Right.
in the South
It's
is never
totally
going to be
different.
accepted.
Right.
Up north, we
It's
try to deal with it because we supposed to be quote unquote a
a
liberated
liberated nation and all
nation
of that.
and the
Yeah.
melting pot and all that.
Right.
And
Mhm.
are we really? You know,
Yeah. I don't know. It's real funny because, I mean, what would inspire somebody to write something like this? Obviously, they either they know someone who went through something similar to this, or they have experienced a situation like this. And I mean, me myself, I can't truly say that I wouldn't date a white man, or I would, but I just feel like if you know, if I'm interested in someone and if he's interested in me and we both see eye to eye, it really should make a difference to, us. Of course,
It
people
shouldn't make a difference, but you know what?
it does.
This is the United States
of
of
America,
America,
right,
Yes.
and the reality is the racism in this country is older than the country itself. I
right,
mean, the first slaves were brought over in 1555 on a
right,
ship, ironically, named Jesus of Lubeck,
right,
and the captain, Sir John Hawkins. So we go way back in this country,
right,
and so does the racism. There shouldn't be a problem.
right,
I don't have a, if I see a black and white couple or any mixed couple, I don't have a problem with it.
right,
If it's making them happy, because you know what? If there's someone who's mad at a black woman dating a white man,
mhm,
the previous boyfriend or husband may have been beating her,
right.
you know.
Yeah, you never know what the
So,
situation
what
is.
is she supposed to stay with a black man if he's beating her?
Right,
No, you
mhm,
go and do what makes you happy.
right,
Now, do what makes you happy, but don't fool yourself either.
right,
You know what
To
I'm
the way
saying? I
society
mean,
looks at it.
you really look into that person,
right,
and the first time you have a disagreement
right,
is that white spouse going to pull out the N word on you?
mhm,
You know what I'm saying? Is the black spouse going to say something derogatory towards the white spouse?
right,
You know what
right.
I'm saying?
That's
Because
true.
that shouldn't have anything to do with a disagreement, a personal attack like that.
Right, you're right. Guys that are just tuning in, this is The Flow, and our show is from 7:30 to 8:30. We're discussing Black history, and we're just collaborating on some books and just different things that is happening in our community today. And if you're interested in being a part of our show, you can call the studios at 223-3433. We're just talking about this book, The Real Deal, by Margaret Johnson, and we basically discussed what it was about somewhat. And if you're interested in it, you go down to the library. You can get it out of the library. You can go to the bookstore and pick it up.
And
Can
Um,
I ask Harry a question?
sure.
Now, Harry, you mentioned, you have white friends that you interact with. I'm not going to ask whether they're male or female. I assume some of them female. And you say some sisters had problems with that.
yeah.
What do you think their problems was? And do you think that the reaction that they give you or whatever they do that you notice, do you think is justified? And what is the reason for that attitude?
You remember?
Well,
That's deep.
I feel that a lot of these sisters that do have attitudes or negative reaction to maybe not just myself or black men dating white women, it's just that maybe they wasn't giving that black man the time, and maybe that black man went that way. I mean, sometime in this world, black man has a lot of ills and is being stepped on a lot, and a lot of people don't educate themselves to the reasoning behind it. And then he might come home from work being stepped on. He might be walking on his way home being stepped on. Once he gets home to this black woman, he's getting stepped on by her. So they're constantly chasing him away. And then when he does venture off into this white world and start dating these white women, now the black woman sees this, and now she has all this negative thing to say about it, and it's kind of too late then. But she was the driving force
So
behind
some
him going
So
that
sometimes
route,
that same black woman may not treat that particular black man the way he would like to be treated.
basically. I
Okay,
mean,
well,
I agree.
excuse me. Let me interject for the women because it seems like we always got a problem when we get the men and I'm by myself, but we're not going to have that because this is the flow.
hey,
We'll
bring
take
it
it light.
on,
We'll go
bring
ahead and
it, bring
Okay,
flow.
it, bring
first
it
of
on.
all, we're not going to really get out
Nah.
of
All
perspective
right.
of what we're supposed to be doing. But if you have a black woman and you are a black man and you're dating each other, and if you got a problem with the way I'm treating you, or you don't like the way, whatever it is, something, anything about me that you're not just feeling, it's not flowing right, then you come to me and let me know, look, baby, I don't like this, I don't understand, or why you acting like this, or why this, why that. Come talk to me. Don't don't make it seem like I'm supposed to know that you're hurting all the time. Don't make it seem like I'm supposed to know that you're down in the dumps all the time. Sometimes I may not know. I may not know you as well as you think I should, and that may be bad on my part. But if you communicate with me, if you talk to me, then maybe I would know. I would be able to approach the situation a little bit better and maybe treat you like the king you're supposed to be treated like.
Oh, no, no, but let me finish. I'm not going to take it out of context,
Okay,
but
because
not to take it out of
let's make sure our viewers
true.
understand.
And let me say this for the record, not to take it out of context, but I love my black woman, and I
Right.
was raised by two black women. I have two mothers, and if you were a part of black family, sometimes you can understand it without even asking the question why.
It's the
And
black experience. Go ahead.
yeah, and what I'm saying is, I love my black woman. It's not that I'm venturing off or black men are venturing off, because I feel we should, quote unquote, somehow stay together, because our reproduction factor depends on that.
Right.
And what I am saying is that when you do feel that you're not needed, this is what a lot of black men are feeling today,
Right.
is the not need factor. And when you're feeling that you're not needed in your world,
Right. Right.
you might as well
Then you
step to the
step
other.
right.
And that's what's happening.
Right.
I commend our black sisters. I commend uh, them fully. And I'm
Right.
just saying, this is what takes on. There's a lot of us sisters out there that do know and do educate themselves, tend to educate themselves, but there's a large base that don't.
Okay, I can understand that because it worked both ways
Yes,
actually.
yes.
So I definitely understand what you're saying. Moving right along, this is another book that I think is very interesting, and it's Malcolm X, the Alex Haley, the author of Roots. And everybody should know who he is, Malcolm X, Martin Luther King. These are some of our great heroes. And it's funny because it says, if there was any one man who articulated the anger, the struggle, and the beliefs of the African blacks in the 60s, that man was Malcolm X. I mean, do we agree with that? Was he really that man?
Malcolm X took the civil rights struggle to another level.
Right,
Uh, you had Martin Luther King, God rest him, was truly a hero,
right.
the nonviolent approach, but you had some blacks who just couldn't sit still, you know, and get the fire hose and the dogs and
Right,
pushed away from the lunch counter.
right.
Malcolm X appealed to those blacks. The Black Panther movement, started by Huey Newton
Yes.
and Bobby Seale, appealed to those blacks. When you have a revolution,
Right,
you know, it's never one leader who appeals to all of the revolutionaries.
right.
You know, Malcolm X appealed to those blacks who wanted to hear about
So,
black history. They wanted to hear more than just, we shall overcome. And there's
Right.
nothing wrong with that.
Right.
I agree with it, but some wanted to hear where we came from,
Right.
because especially at that time, there was really a lack of black history. You really had to
that's
go
right.
and look.
Look for
It's
it.
not like it is today where you can get on the internet and punch in
Find
black
it.
history and there's just an overwhelming amount of information.
Well, do
Uh,
you think that Malcolm X was a tremendous impact on us or for us? Has he really made a big difference? Has
I've,
he, paved the path,
I
you
feel
know?
that he was a big influence on us, not just Malcolm. It was Dr. King and all the leaders, Medgar Evers at that time. I'm saying I feel they were big impacts, because at that time, nobody chose our leaders. Now we have
Right.
people choosing our leaders, and people are not willing to step forward now as they
Right.
were then. I mean, right now, even we're slowly coming up against a revolutionary time.
Right.
And people need to stop letting others choose their leaders. I'm saying at that time, he did have an impact, because he is like him and Martin is like a ladder. They
Right.
both was coming up different sides of the ladder to achieve
Right.
one goal. You know, and they both had beliefs in God, and to achieve that one goal is to bring black people to the standards that they should be brought to.
Right.
And I mean, yes, that's an impact. I mean, we shouldn't just run with that and forget about it and say today they did that and today we're not doing anything. We
Right.
can't just let that rest. We have to keep marching on because that's something like through their bloodlines we have become. It's just
Right.
like our ancestors made the path, but we have to keep on that path and make the path for others, which sometimes fall by the waistline. So yes, it
Right.
has made a big impact.
All right.
We have to keep on uh, with their struggle and with their dreams, and also any of the hardship that they went through, the adversity that they went through, we owe it to them to get out there and
That's right.
vote. You know, to do the things that they fought for. And it's ironic that you mentioned Medgar Evers. For anybody who out there who doesn't know, his assassin, Brian De La Beckworth, just died in prison.
Yes. He
Yeah.
did. He did about give or take 6 years in prison because he was just retried about 6 or 7 years ago, and he died in prison. But Mega's been gone about 30 some odd years, and this man basically lived his whole life. So I mean, was it
He got
really
away with it for
justified?
he got away for with it for a
He
very
pro-
long time.
Truthfully, he probably still got away with it because he lived his life, and then after his life was lived, he was incarcerated till he met his demise. But he still
Well,
lived his life,
he
so
still has one judge to go before.
that's right.
That's true. I was just thinking about Malcolm X and, his legacy and just different things that he did to make a difference for us to get to the level that we are. And not only Malcolm X, as we mentioned other people as well who fought the fight. Do you think that we're still fighting the fight today?
Oh
Are
yeah,
we winning?
without
Are
a
we
doubt.
losing? What are we doing?
I mean, sometimes I feel we fighting a fight that we just standing in place. Like two fighters just it's a 3 minute round, but the round never ends. We just still fighting and
Still
fighting.
fighting.
It's like we doing a waltz.
Right.
And we really have to look at the values they set before us. I mean, Malcolm was coming with self-empowerment. I mean, that we black people should start putting more into our community, promoting ourselves, teaching our kids. And Brother Martin did the same thing. They
Right.
just came up two sides of a different ladder. And Martin was saying the same thing. We need to put this back into our communities. We
Right.
need to come together as a unit because without a unit, we cannot do it by ourselves.
Right.
And we, as black people, African American people, descendants of our African people, we need to do this.
Right.
They passed the torch to us, and contained in the flame of that torch is the right to vote, the right to take tests to get certain jobs, certain rights that were not had in black communities. We have these rights now. Now it's
Yes.
time to take that torch and run
Right.
with it. They fought for the right to vote. They can't come out of the grave and make us vote.
Right. Right.
We have to do that on our own. We can get. There were schools that we couldn't get into. We can get into them now.
Right.
There's a wealth of education and information out there.
And we
they
have to
can't
go
come
get
back.
it.
Right. We have to go get it.
It's
Right.
there
So
for us.
the struggle now is to get people to utilize what is there. Of course, there is still racism. We all know that, and anybody who doesn't is not living, is not accepting reality. But you can overcome that. You can get past it.
Right.
Knowledge is attainable. A lot of people think that knowledge is going to come to them. No,
Right.
they have to go to knowledge.
Right.
Knowledge is there waiting for them to come and get it. But they don't want to go get, we become a lazy society too.
Right.
So,
That's true.
knowledge is not going to come knocking on your door. Go knock on knowledge door. It's everywhere.
Right. Do you think? I'm sorry. Was you going to say something?
Yeah. After the Civil War, the Reconstruction era, you had more black congressmen, senators, assemblymen, etc., than you do now.
Right.
That was right after the Civil War. Why? Because the freed slaves exercised their
right.
new rights to run for office, to vote. You know what I'm saying? Why don't we have the same thing now?
Do you think that if Malcolm, Martin, and a few of our great leaders, If they were here now, do you think they would be pleased with us?
That's the is a crazy question because if they were here now, a lot of stuff that happened and went on wouldn't have went on and wouldn't have happened. So it's really a tricky question. But
Well,
if they
let's
were
okay,
here now,
let's put it like this. Let's say they're not here now, but do you think they would be pleased with us? Let's say they're in heaven and they're
some
looking down on us as an African American people, an African American race, whatever you want to call it. Would they be happy? Would they be pleased with the outcome?
some circumstances, but sometimes I feel they crying inside just as well as God is probably crying inside. I mean, where do we come where babies or teenage babies are being uneducated and having kids and kids are having kids and babies having babies. I mean, that's a really hurtful thing. I mean, we really need to come together as a unit. We really need to start seeking these leaders. Like even myself, you could look at me as a leader. You could look at the African American Media Center as a leader. Look at these two people as leaders. I mean, we need to stop saying so quote unquote so and so is a leader, so and so over here is a leader, letting them depict our leaders. We need to really come together as a unit and do something about this because that's the only way it could be done.
Mm. Would you like to elaborate on
I think Harry said it all.
that? Well, as far as coming together as a unit, I mean, do you think that we can really come together as a unit?
I feel is always hope. I feel
Okay.
there's always hope for us to come together as a unit.
Okay. Well, Malcolm X, everybody. Once again, you can go to the library if in your leisure time you can go there and read it, or you can go to the bookstore and you can pick it up. And it's not just Malcolm X and The Real Deal, but I mean,
All books.
daily you should just try to read something. It doesn't have to be about Black history, just a newspaper. Just try to read something about something, something
It's
positive,
it's Black
you
History
know.
Month. You know, they've given February a title
Right.
for us.
Yes.
You know,
The shortest month
take
of the
advantage.
year.
Yes,
So
Right.
right. Take advantage of it. You know, take a little
Yeah.
time. You know, they've got specials on television. If you're not heavy into reading,
Right.
more than ever, I mean, you can go to
Right.
the library, get on the internet,
Right.
and there's just so much history
Yes.
that I
that's
was
right.
not taught in school. You know, I mean, you can find out things that slaves did to get free. You know, a lot of people think, slaves were lazy and it was an accepted condition and they just waited for Abraham Lincoln to
Right.
set
Yeah.
them free,
Lincoln
which was not true.
Lincoln
Right.
set us free. Don't believe everything
Exactly.
Well,
that they say.
he
All
wanted
right?
the Union, United States of America, to be one unit. He
Right.
didn't want it. He didn't want secession from the South. So the prime directive was to keep the country together.
Right.
Slaves were freed along the way. Okay,
So,
fine.
hey. Right.
But the bottom line is, they were freed. So, okay, big up to
Yeah,
Abraham.
give
You
him
know
the
what I'm
credit,
saying?
I guess.
But
Give him
stories,
credit, but what did he do?
Give him the
stories are
credit.
buried
Hey,
in history. You know what I'm saying about slavery. There was a light-skinned woman, and her husband was dark-skinned, and their last name was Kraft. And he dressed his wife up as a white woman. She could pass. Dressed her as a white woman, and he put a band around her neck so people would think that she couldn't speak, because she couldn't speak the proper English.
Right.
And he put her arm in a sling, so if asked to write, she would motion her arm was broken, and she walked him to freedom as a white woman and her slave. And arguably, that is where you get the expression crafty. That's a crafty person.
Right.
I mean, it's just little stories like this,
Right.
that they don't teach in school. They didn't
Exactly.
teach when I was in school.
Right.
And they
But
still not
through
teaching
a
a lot of
thirst
it.
for knowledge and history, not only Black history, but American history.
All history.
Yeah.
I found things like that out. There was a slave who packaged himself and mailed himself to freedom.
Right. I
You
heard
know,
about that.
so anybody out there, white or black, who are under the impression that blacks were comfortable with this and just kind of picking cotton and just sitting playing a banjo and waiting to be free. No, it's not true.
Right.
These are people who longed and thirsted for freedom. You know,
Like Fred was saying, don't just read black books or books by black authors. Read the books written by other ethnic groups, white, Latinos, Asians, because you're gonna find the real truth in those books. Don't wait for somebody to tell you, because if
Right.
you wait for them to tell you, they're gonna tell you what they want you to know.
Exactly. And you don't want to fall into the racism that was pitted against black people.
Mm.
You know,
Right.
sometimes you might hear, and this is no offense, you might hear an expression, all Chinese look alike. No, they don't.
Right. Well, they
And if
say
you
all
say,
blacks look
right, well,
alike.
exactly, this is what I'm
Well,
saying.
Right.
Don't allow yourself to fall into that
Right.
mentality.
Mhm.
No, they don't all look alike. All you have to do is just sit and look at, look at one. They don't look all alike,
Right.
you
Right.
know?
But you know what? I mean, through everything that we've discussed so far, with everything that we've experienced and different things that we've just talked about, I mean, do you really think that a real change is ever going to come? I mean, I know a change did come because had a change didn't come, then we wouldn't be here now. But I mean, we're moving, but do you think we're moving fast?
you know where the change will come if we stop sitting on our behinds. What it is that we're always looking to do something for a buck. Where this mentality came from, I don't know. We need to go out and maybe volunteer and use these services and help the kids to grow. I don't care what you volunteer in. You could help them in arts and craft. You could help them in sports. Help them in anything. Read
Like a big
anything.
brother, big
Yes.
sister.
And if you go out and do this, I'm not saying every day devote every minute of your time to it, but if you could help out one kid along the way, it does lots because that one kid could help out thousands.
So basically, what you're saying is that
That's the
it's
only
not
way we
so
can
much
move.
with our society, with our generation, but it's more so with the generation that's
Basi-
coming up,
Basically, all generations,
all
because our
generations.
generation feeds the generation under us.
Right.
And if we don't feed them the right stuff,
Then they're lost.
they're lost.
Mm.
And they'll always be hungry.
Well, speaking of that, Harry O is a poet, and he has. Should I say this is a book or?
Yes, it's a
This
book.
is a book
Yes.
of poets, and it's called A Backward Look Through My Eyes, the poetical, metaphorical,
Metaphorical entertainer,
entertainer,
Harry
Harry O.
O.
And I'm telling you, this is full of some wonderful, wonderful poems.
And tell them where they can pick up a copy.
Where can they pick up a copy?
They can pick up a copy at the African American Media Network.
And where is that located?
That's located at 33 Double Voice Avenue, Roosevelt, New York. You could go to the website, rooseveltlongisland.org. You could hit the website, h2o at tfnmail.com, and you can ask for a copy. It's $10 a copy. It's self-published. And the next one to be out by April or May, I want you to look for it, is work in progress.
Now, I would like to say, if you look at this book, not that I'm trying to, take away from anybody, but if you look at this and if you look at this, what is the difference? This right here, I believe, was $8 or $12. This was $12 and this is $10. It's really not a big difference. And this is what we was just talking about supporting each other. Do you know if everybody that viewed the show would pick up one of these, what level that can take you to? It's about supporting each other.
Not just take me to, take us to.
Will take us to, but
That's
it also
right.
will put you on a different level as well.
Yes.
You know?
And it will take them also because
Then they,
They would-
I believe that anyone who's felt the black experience is a reflection of that.
yes,
Yes.
Yes.
And also it would enlighten other ethnic groups into the black experience. And also there's also just plain good old-fashioned enjoyable poetry in the
Exactly.
book. You can call the studio 223-3433. Come down, pick up a copy, or ask
Yeah.
how to get a copy.
I would like to just read one of them if that's okay
All
with
right,
you.
all right.
And I think this is perfect for the moment since this is, Black history and we're discussing that. It says, the black woman, never respected, meaning never wanted. A history of abuse and murder day haunted by the past. Love me, please love me. Don't lust after me. Oh, Massa, please don't lust after me. I cry night, I pray, oh God. Massa beat me, Massa rape me. Oh God, it hurts. Sunrise, early morning, cotton picker, childbirth giver, mid-mother babysitter, black man. This is excellent. I can just go on and go on, but I need you to just tell us where did this come from?
Well, I wrote that piece about 6 years ago, and it came from my experiences, what I see my black sisters go through. I mean, from my ancestral days, from slavery. I mean, seeing my mother. I mean, my mother raised 8 kids. I mean, by herself. I mean, once her husband died, I'm saying it's the struggle, and you've seen this in so many aspects of the black woman being raped, the black woman being abused. I mean, this was my dedication to all those women. They make me keep going on and make me stronger that I can't fall to my knees because of the struggles they've been through. So that's why I wrote it in dedication to all of the black women in today's society, the society before this one, and the one that's yet to come. Because I feel that, if they could struggle through the struggles they went through, we can keep going on as a society.
That's excellent. What did you think about this when I mean, I didn't read the whole thing. It's like 2 pages of one poem, and I didn't really want to go too far with it, but this is excellent. What did you think about it?
I think it's a wonderful poem, and it's one of the ones that I said does a reflection of the black experience. I mean, anyone black in the United States of America or the Caribbean, can speak to their grandparents, great grandparents, remember stories,
Yes.
that were told to them, and it's all there in black and white,
Right.
you know.
Now, your book doesn't only focus on black women, but
No.
it's a collaboration of.
My book, this book is for everyone. It's for
Mhm.
all experiences. I have stuff about love in there. I have different views from the white perspective, the black perspective, just a universal perspective. I mean, everybody could get something out of this book. I mean, it would help you. I mean, you could have it for your kids to read. It will help them even mature into better
If you
people.
have a love for
So,
poetry, it's
you
the
know,
book to pick up. If you
Mhm.
have a true love for poetry and appreciation for poetry, you need to pick up the book.
and there's a lot of people out there who has already picked up the book, and I thank them for picking it up and for, helping me to further on my endeavors.
Wonderful. This
And
is
I,
great.
I just want to, thank a young lady by the name of Angelique
Mhm.
and Denise Love Adams for helping me out
Put it
with,
together.
yes,
And you're self-published, is that right?
yes I am.
Self-published. Viewers out there, that is truly a big step to make, and it's really hard to do. Self-published.
And the
Harry
reason,
O.
behind that is because a lot of times people don't give you the fund to make that next step until you're already acquired things. So this is the route right now we have to take, and
Mhm.
I'm willing to take it.
It's wonderful. Now, what can you say to the viewers out there who are interested in doing something like this? If they don't really have the funds to, you know what I'm saying, to make it like this, but it can still look just as good as this. How can they go about doing something similar to what you did? What would you say to those people?
Well, what I would say is that you have to keep working, keep writing, don't never give up. No matter what people try to, if people out there try to discourage you, just keep writing. I mean, I will be giving a class in a matter of months on, how to even better prepare
Prepare it.
books and
Mhm.
workshops. So, just keep at it
Right.
because, that's the only ends justifies the means. So if you keep at it, you
Mhm.
will, succumb to greatness.
That's wonderful. Well, in keeping with our Black History Month, we're going to be talking about a few other things as well. So just give us the information and, we'll announce that on the show. That's excellent. Would you like to say one of the poems for us?
I
Is
think you
that
just,
maximum too much?
well, you just read one of them.
I didn't read the whole thing.
I see the phone line lighting up. I think we're getting requests.
And for those of you that just tuning in, this is The Flow, and our show is on every Saturday night from 7:30 to 8:30, and we're talking about Black History Month, and we have Harry O with us. This is Fred, and we're just talking about his book that he just recently published. It's full of some wonderful poems, and he was getting ready to do something for us.
Oh, was I? I was getting I was getting ready to do something. What would I do in here?
Well, while you're looking for a poem,
All right.
Fred and I can continue on our discussion with Black history. I can let you lead off.
Well, like I stated, take February,
Right.
seize the opportunity, while it's being promoted. There's newspaper articles. Newsday had a
Right.
wonderful pull-out section on Black history. Just take the time, to get to know your past, get to know your history.
Right.
Other ethnic groups take the time, hey, pick it up and read it, or various things, and you'll learn something about another ethnic group.
Right.
And the same thing goes for Black people.
Right.
Just look at it if there's an opportunity to
Right.
find out something about another group.
Yeah.
This way, if people were to do that, groups would understand each other more.
That's what I was
And
just
there
gonna say.
won't be that, you know, uh, people feeling uncomfortable,
Right.
when, oh wow, there's a Black person, or
Exactly.
wow, there's a
black
white
man,
person.
or there's
You know what I'm
yeah.
saying? Learn something about them,
Right.
and it'll take away from that. You just won't go on what you hear or what
Exactly.
you were told. Find out for yourself.
Exactly. You ready, Harry?
Yes. I found one that is going along with the program. This one is called The Black Man. A distinguished and intriguing personality, a persona that is not quite free. Hecklers in the background, astonished at what they have found. Pressured and upset at what might be taking place, where flowers are used to blossoming, now die in place. No, not a beast, but a very frightening sight. A look of a man, but a utterly ridiculous thought. A cry of a plea sounds. Although his integrity is preserved within his brain, his crown, rambling on, but his words make no sense. Wide-eyed onlookers, amazed, stand intense. A ray from the skies is where it is believed his beauty lies, now bound and caged, but his history never dies. No, it has to be evil, because his shade is not as pure as that of a lamb. So they seek to destroy the off-shade color of a man. 400 years have passed, and they still don't realize that you can't destroy something or someone that is not willing to die. Sure, lambs are pure, and some are white. But what about the off-colored one that's hard to see at night? The black man.
Okay.
That was
All right.
good.
That was
Thank you.
excellent.
That was excellent. Now, what inspired you to write that?
Well, what inspired me to write that? That was some time ago also, but what inspired me to write it was that we're always being told, like, look, look at him, look at that black man, look at, and this goes back to the early 80s, 70s, where white people looked at us, and some white people never seen black people. You go up in Vermont or Maine, in those times, they never seen black people, and they like, oh, it got to be evil, and at that time, we were told everything black was evil. I mean, I remember growing up in my grade school days, and they were saying, black, black, black. Black is evil, it's mud, it's the worst thing happening.
Right.
So white is pure. So they say white is so pure, and
Right.
if white is pure and white is pure as lambs, and lamb is pure because in the Bible, Jesus is a lamb,
Right.
and lambs is pure. What about the off-colored lambs?
Right.
All lambs aren't white.
Some of them are dirty too.
So that's what, inspired me to write that. And it's just saying that we're here and we're not going nowhere. Learn to love us and live with us.
You know, that's wonderful, and we thank you so much for sharing that with us. I'm just
Thank you.
curious, as black men, do you experience like this racism thing? Do you experience that? Because I know
Yes.
they say black men, have it more, or it's worse for black men than it is for black women, but do you really experience that
Oh, yes, without a doubt.
Yes.
till this day, like even now?
Yes.
Yes, you
Yes.
do.
Definitely. And anybody who says it, like I said earlier, anybody who says it does not exist is fooling themselves or they're lying. You know, it does exist. Now, do I let it hold me back? No.
No,
Right.
You know what I'm saying? Am I going to lash out violently? No.
no.
Right.
You know, I'm focused. I'm going to where I want to be, and
Right.
nothing's going to stop me.
And see, that's very
And then,
important. I think, as African American people, sometimes when we experience negative things from different races, whether it is from white, whether it's Hispanic, Puerto Rican, whatever color, German, whatever. I mean, a lot of times we feel like, okay, well, since we was let down or since we was put down, that we can't make it or that we can't go on. And that's one bad thing that I think we have in our communities and in our homes, that we're not told that we can make it through whatever it is. We're not told that you can still be
You
successful.
have to
You
have
know?
the positive, you definitely have to have the positive reinforcement in order to make it. And also, take advantage of the information that's out
that's
there.
given.
All of it out there. You know, I have an appreciation for writing. I love to read. I love poetry. Langston Hughes, now Harry O. You know, um, I love poetry. You know, when you allow yourself to be open to exposure
Right.
of all that's
Broaden
available
yourself.
out there, you know what I'm saying? You'll create a love for yourself. You know, and when you run into that racism, you know, okay, there's a negative person. You just keep on going. Don't let them slow
Yeah.
you down.
What,
You know.
You
what
know what?
happens is,
I'm sorry.
no, what happens is you have to funnel that negative energy into positivity. What you have to do is go out there, like we've been saying, you have to obtain this knowledge so you would know what's going on, so it wouldn't feed your anger, so you wouldn't really upset yourself and go out there and do stupidity.
Right.
And uh, what I say, and I really want to get out there, is that write. If you have to sit down and write what's going on, guess what? You have a book also. You Writing is very therapeutic. I mean, like the media is the only base of information we have, but you have to get into the media. Look beyond the television. Look beyond the television and access the truth.
Right. I know that I heard that information is power, and that's just exactly what it is. It's power. If there's something that you don't know, if there's something that you don't understand, or if there's something you would like to do, go to the library, look it up, ask questions, talk to a librarian.
Listen,
You know?
if you're an adult, it's not just black men, but if you're an adult in this society and you're not educated, you know,
You're lost.
anybody can take advantage of you.
That's
Of
right.
course.
You know, and
Of course.
especially with men, you know, when they can't compete on that level, what do you resort to? What is
Right.
you have only your ability as a man,
Yes.
and it will get you in trouble.
Right.
If you can't harness that physical ability as a man, it'll get you in trouble because
Right.
you will lash out. You want to be respected as a man, and if somebody is disrespecting you on a higher
Higher
level,
level.
you're going to resort to a more negative level.
Well, this is the reason why they kept the books away from us when we were slaves. This is the reason why
A
they
lot of
didn't allow
information.
us to read. This is the reason why they didn't allow us to do those sorts of things, because they didn't want us to be empowered. I mean, where did the term come from, slave nigger, or, the house nigger? You know what I'm saying? What was that about?
Or the field
Was
nigger and
was
the
the
house
house
nigger.
nigger smarter than the other slaves? You know
Nah,
what I'm
he got
saying?
treated better. He
But
did
he
he did
wasn't smarter.
he did basically. I guess he was smarter
He had
because
more
he seen.
access.
Yeah, he had more access and he seen more things, and Master treated him a lot better. I
Mhm.
mean, the slave that's been in the field all day and all night. I mean, they took all their books. They abused them even
Mhm.
more so than the house
House
slaves.
slaves.
So that's where it came about. House nigga,
And might I
slave
say
nigga.
also, and they don't teach this, the sexual history of racism and slavery is not taught. You really have to dig,
Right.
and really do a little personal history to find out.
Mhm.
The house Negroes quite often were related directly to the master. You
Mhm.
know, prime example, Thomas Jefferson.
Right.
You know,
Thomas
his own
Jefferson.
sons, helped build. They were carpenters. One was a musician.
Mhm.
One was a house servant. You
Right.
know, these were his children with Sally Hemings. And contrary to a lot of people's opinion on it, you know, by the accounts of the black slaves at the Jefferson plantation, his sons looked just like him.
Right.
And they just were
So
on.
you had white people, who attended, who were invited to his house. Sometimes they were held in awe, shocked and amazed, to see a house
That the
Negro,
slaves
with pretty much your complexion or lighter,
also
favoring
what you trying to
Thomas
say?
Jefferson.
What you
No,
trying to say?
nothing at all.
I don't know Thomas Jefferson.
Well, they just had about, I think last year sometime on the news they brought the families together where they
Mhm.
met. You know, the black family of Thomas Jefferson
And
and
Well,
the white family of Thomas
right.
Jefferson.
DNA
And
proved what you had. Blacks who wrote their memoirs, who were slaves on the plantation, and who said those were Thomas Jefferson's children.
Mhm.
Now, white historians have always said it couldn't be true. Well, how can you say it couldn't be true? You
Right.
weren't there.
Right.
How could you say that you weren't there? But DNA has confirmed the memoirs of these people and also Thomas Jefferson's black family's word of mouth tradition.
Right. Mm. That's so deep.
Yeah.
That's so deep. Do you think that's still happening now?
is what's still happening
What we just discussed.
of what slavery or
Yeah. The house nigger.
I feel that it's happening on a different term, on a different level. I feel that some people are doing song and dances for a certain class of people, and these are the same people that are depicted as maybe quote unquote leaders. I
Mhm.
mean, and they're doing a song and shuffle. But I'm saying the true people and uh, the true knowledge comes when you seek it,
Mhm.
where you could pick the leaders and pick the people that are true and speaking the truth, where they're not doing that song and dance and they're letting you really know what's going on. And
Right.
sometimes you can find this from those class of people that are really, that's oppressing the other people. So you can find it from them also. So,
Right. Do you think that we really have overcome? We used to sing that song, "We Shall
well, we
Overcome."
still singing that song, "We Shall Overcome." No, I haven't heard the song said "We overcame, we overcame." I haven't heard that song yet. "We shall overcome." We still are singing that.
But have we reached that point? Has it
We have
happened?
overcome obstacles that were in the way, but like I said in the earlier part of the show, we have to take advantage of what was fought for. You know, we didn't always have the right to vote.
Right.
Hmm.
You know, um, people fought and died for that. I
Mhm.
remember as a child watching news clippings of people getting beat who wanted to go and vote.
Right.
I owe it to them to go and vote.
But a
You
Mhm.
know,
lot of people now, they're not feeling too good about that voting process now. A lot of people feel that maybe their right was taken away now because you have electoral votes that take a whole block, even though the block was not won in the popular vote. So now you have a lot of those people that did get up off their seat. Now they're sitting down again. So we do have to stop getting discouraged,
Right.
truthfully, but we also have to fight the system. We have to really go at the system and let them know that we can't. We're not
Listen,
just going to stand by and
the Electoral College is included in that wealth of information that I was talking about. You have to, you know, step up to the plate, become a part of society. You know, they teach that they teach in school, the Electoral College. You know, but you still have to vote. You have to
Right.
vote.
Right.
You know,
Well, I mean, you're saying we have to vote, but just as he said, people feel like their votes don't count, like their votes don't matter. People are feeling and have felt down through the years that, well, my vote doesn't matter anyway because they're going to pick who they want to pick.
the
And
last
in this
election,
election, is this election an example
the
of
last
what's really
election,
going on?
this election proves that you should go out and vote because it was so close. Now, for all of those sitting at home who can honestly say, no, I did not go out and vote, their vote could have made the difference.
You
And the
know what I
last time
want?
this happened was with Kennedy and Nixon back in 1960.
I know this is Black History Month, but for those viewers that are watching, and if you didn't vote, I want you to call the studio. You don't have to tell us your name. You don't have to give us your number. But call the studio and tell us, yes, I voted, or no, I didn't
and
vote.
give the reason behind
And
why
give us
you
the
didn't vote.
right. Give us the reason why you did vote or why you didn't vote. And the next show, we're going to follow up with those
And
Let
we
me
responses.
tell
also
you
have to.
something else.
And the number to the studio is 223-3433.
Let me show you the effect of not voting, okay? The Amadou Diallo case,
Right.
right? They wanted the federal government to look at a civil rights violation, okay? They took the case in. They were evaluating whether or not they were going to go with it. And what happened? Bush won. He got Ashcroft in as Attorney General.
Right.
The day after he was confirmed, the day after his
Pulled out.
confirmation, the federal government says there's no civil
You're
rights
off the case.
violation.
Yeah.
That's the effect of not voting. So
And
anybody who complains about the Amadou Diallo case not going to a civil rights violation, that's why.
we also have to understand that, like Fred said, we do have to get off our behind and vote because they're not afraid of our vote because they know we're not coming out.
Right.
So they don't even, like, uh, I've heard or I've seen or maybe I even had my own opinion of it. Giuliani cares nothing about the black vote because he knows you're not going to get off your butt to vote anyway, so he has nothing to worry about. And a lot of them are going down that same road. So now, whose fault is it really?
New York City, if the residents of New York City, majority, collectively majority black and Spanish, they wanted a black and Spanish mayor every 12 months, they could do it.
That's right.
The votes are there, okay?
Right.
You know,
So,
but they don't do it.
So basically, you're saying that the bottom line is, if we don't vote, we don't have an opinion.
You can have an opinion, but what is the value of it?
It means nothing then.
Right. You know, I mean, and really, what right do you have to complain, you know, about Mayor Giuliani if you didn't vote? You know, I know people who don't vote, but they have an opinion on had an opinion on Bill Clinton. You know, well, if you don't like him, you should have voted him out.
So is it safe to say that Martin Luther King and Malcolm X would be very unpleased with us at this point, at this stage in the
I
game?
think the love that they had for black people, they wouldn't be unpleased, but they would say to themselves, there's work that still has to be done.
Right.
That's
You
right.
know, because, I mean, it's not just all negative with the black
No, it's not.
community. You know, I mean, we've made leaps and bounds.
Right.
I believe it's
But we
getting
still
close
got
to your
long.
time.
Yeah.
We still got a long way to
We
go.
got a long way to go.
Don't
Well-
stop the struggle.
But okay, when you say don't stop the struggle and we got a long way to go, how are we gonna get there? You're saying, okay, we're gonna vote. What else are we gonna do?
We have to understand. We have to educate ourselves. With education, we understanding
Education.
what's happening to us. Listen, I mean, even our young ones, they're trying to sweep up our young ones because think about it. If you arrest these young brothers and they catch felony charges, they already omitted in the voting process. So I mean, we really have
That's
to
true. Yeah.
uh, we really have to educate ourselves to the whole thing. We have to educate ourselves in raising our communities again, self-empowering ourselves, throwing money back into
Into the
blackness.
community. Yes.
And that's the only way. You could not hoard money. If you hoard money, what does it do?
Well, the Bible says that you'll have a better chance of fitting a camel through the eye of a needle than getting a rich man into heaven.
Yeah.
It's like he brought up a Bible scripture. Like in the Bible, it says he gave seeds, and one guy planted a seed, the other guy did something with his seeds. I mean, and what came
What
out of it?
happened?
One had abundance, the other had nothing.
Yeah. That's
What what did you do with yours? I still
right.
got it,
Exactly.
but it
But what
did
are you
nothing.
doing with it?
No leaves grew on the
And we
branches.
won't get anywhere as a separate society. You know, whites and blacks, you know, uh, try to, you know, educate each other, your children, so that when they grow up, they can live together as a society.
And you get
You
more
know,
from it.
right.
Well, this is coming to the end of the show, and we
Right.
just want to say thank you so much for tuning in tonight. We're going to continue our Black History for the rest of this month. If anyone is interested in coming down and being a part of the show, you can come right along. If you have any ideas for a show, we can definitely accept those as well. Call our studios at 516-223-3433. Did you have something to say?
I'd just like to say, just for Black History Month, even if you haven't done nothing all year, just do something. If
Right.
you gotta take your kid or your child to a black museum, just do
Right.
anything
Right.
just to contribute to this month.
Right. And you know what? Once this month is over, even if you decide that, you know, you can't do something every day, but just try, if you have a family with kids, just try to give them something, some type of understanding, some type of knowledge of what we are about, what was fought for us.